Hello everyone, in this video, we are going to learn what are the types of research gaps. But before we are going to discuss on the types of research gaps, let us first define what is a research gap. A research gap is a topic or area for which missing or inadequate information limits the ability of reviewers to reach a conclusion for a given question. A research gap will probably exist because there are questions or there are problems that were not able or that has not been answered by any of the existing studies or research. Identifying a research gap is a question or a problem on which enough existing research is not done or it is outdated and needs to be updated. So according to Robinson, Saldanhea, and Macquarie 2011, including Mueller et al. 2015 and Miles 2017, there are 7 types of research gaps. Number 1, we have the evidence gap, knowledge gap, practical knowledge, methodological, empirical, theoretical, and population. What is an evidence gap? So an evidence gap, according to definition by the authors, it results from studies that allow for conclusion in their own right but are contradictory when examined from a more abstract point of view. An evidence gap arises if a new research finding contradicts on a widely accepted conclusion. What about knowledge gap? Knowledge gap exists when the desired research findings do not exist. Again, our knowledge gap exists when the desired research findings do not exist. The other type of research gap is a practical knowledge gap. This type of research gap is also called as an action knowledge. A practical knowledge gap exists or arises when a professional behavior or practices deviate from research findings, are not covered by research. A practical knowledge gap arises when the actual behavior of professionals is different from their advocated behavior. Again, a practical knowledge gap will exist when the actual behavior of professionals is different from their advocated behavior. The next type of research gap is what we call methodological gap. A methodological gap arises when a variation of research methods is necessary to generate new insights or to avoid distorted findings. A methodological gap is the type of gap that deals with the conflict that occurs due to the influence of methodology on research results. Theoretical gap. Theoretical gap arises because there is a need to develop a certain theory. The theoretical gap is the type of gap that deals with the gaps in theory with the prior research. Theory should be applied to certain research issues to generate new insights. However, there is a lack of theory and therefore theoretical gap exists. The last one is population gap. Research regarding the population is not adequately presented or under-researched in the evidence base or prior research. For example, when the researcher did not exhaustively consider gender, race or ethnicity, age, and other parameters. In the highlight of this type of research gap, there are always underserved population that have been under-researched. We also have here empirical gap. Empirical gap is the type of research gap that deals with the gaps in the prior research. These conflict deals with the research findings or propositions need to be evaluated or empirically verified. An empirical gap often addresses conflicts that no study to date has directly attempted to evaluate a subject or topic from an empirical approach. In this video, we learned the 7 types of research gaps.